BBC Radio Bristol.
John Darvall.
Here's something not to be proud of. Analysis by The Guardian has revealed that the River Avon is in the top 3 most polluted waterways in England. While swimming in the River Avon has this wonderful connection to nature that many enjoy, but if you take a closer look at the water, if you were analysing the water, you may be less inclined to get in said water. Our next guests are passionate about the health and safety of the river, that they have made a film about it. And here to tell us about that film, are Charlotte and Aggie. Good afternoon to you both.
Afternoon.
Hi.
Thanks very much for coming in. This is very much a sort of story of our time at the moment, isn't it? And this all relates to something that there was a big campaign about a couple of years ago, wasn't it? And now, is this a film of that campaign about Conham Water, East Bristol Way? So it's a film about that campaign?
It started off that way, definitely. It started off with following this campaign, just finding out what's happening. We both live local to the river, so we care about it, we swim in it, we're very passionate about it, and so finding out about it, we were like, yeah, why not follow that? And actually Charlotte is the one who started following this and then invited me along somewhere halfway.
So who has been swimming in the river first? Who swam first?
Well, Aggie was swimming this morning.
Right, okay.
We went
but
for a
who
swim
was doing it
together
first? Were
yesterday.
you both swimming in this river at Conham? Were you doing it independently, not knowing that each other was doing it, or were you already doing it anyway?
We were doing it independently. I lived in a different part of Bristol at the time, and I was cycling across town to go and swim in the river, and Charlotte lives right on the river, and we didn't know each other. In fact, we met last year, at the beginning of last year, when I was working on a different film project, and Charlotte came along to help me with that.
Right.
And then we connected and realized we both have a shared passion for the river, and we love to live near the river. I was trying desperately to move towards the river, and eventually I did. And so that's kind of how our connection started.
So where were you cycling from?
From Bishopston.
From Bishopston to Conham Water?
Yes.
You must love wild swimming.
I
That's
do.
a heck of a
She
distance.
does. She really loves it, yeah.
From my
I'm
memory
so
serves me
crazy
correct,
about
that's
it.
quite a few hills as well.
Yes, yeah.
That's a hilly journey on a bike.
Yeah, but if you live in Bristol and you cycle, you get to be fit. I mean, you just get
This is
used to
true.
it, don't you?
This is very true. So
Yeah.
this is for those who don't know, it's probably the best way to say it's sort of Hanham, isn't it? It's the probably easiest way to say, so people have in their mind's eye where this is.
Well,
it's in that valley.
Yeah, well, on one side you're in Easton,
Yeah.
on the other side you're in St Anne's,
Yeah.
Brislington. They're very densely urban, and then you just kind of walk down the valley a tiny bit, and
And you wouldn't know you were in an urban environment.
You can't hear traffic,
No.
you can hear the birds. It's a nature reserve.
Yeah, it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yes,
is
so good.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't know. It's like, for example, Snuff Mills. It's another place where, when you're in it, you wouldn't realise that a few paces away,
Yeah.
you're back in the grime and reality of urban life.
Yeah, exactly. And we discovered it during lockdown, my husband and I and my daughter. We used to go all the way across there we were just finding different places to walk, as people did during lockdown. And then we discovered one point, we just found ourselves along the river and walking alongside it for ages. And we were like, where are we? What is this beautiful spot? And looking online and finding out where we were. And then eventually we found ourselves going back every Sunday, and became our Sunday walk. And eventually we were like, who are we kidding? We should just move here.
Well, that then chimes into something that has become a story of our time, which is, of course, the quality of the water that is in our rivers and around our coasts. Now, there has been stories and there has been realities about the quality of rivers, water rivers and our coasts for some time, safe bathing areas and all that sort of stuff. But this has become a real story now, and I'm not here to defend any industry, but the water industry is now monitoring the outflow of water in a way that they weren't doing even a few years ago. So we now know more about the quality of the water in our rivers because of the water industry than we've ever known. And that quality is not good, down to the water industry, by their own admission. So what have you discovered about Conham in this film?
It is. Are we allowed to say the S word on the radio?
Are you replying that
Full of poo.
what come? Yeah, that's better. Yes, yes. It is daytime. There are children at home.
Yes, I'm
so
glad I
yeah,
thought like
exactly. Yes, half term and all that. But so it is full of of what the former Environment Secretary Therese Coffey
times.
called it's only a bit of poo.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
And, we follow lots of different campaigners. The film, over 6 seasons, it follows different people who love the river, who are campaigning for the river. One marries the river in a ceremony. One...
I've seen a clip of that.
Yeah,
I've
won't
seen a
pay
clip
his
of that.
bills. Another person, she swims as a mermaid to raise awareness and gets sick because she's swimming in polluted river. Everyone's doing their thing.
And she's also swimming with an inflatable poo.
With an inflatable poo, yeah. And one main group that we follow are the Common Bathers who test the water. And we've become part of the Common Bathers. We've done testing because we live a bit closer, so we'll pick up a sample. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting how much is in there. And the water companies, they're only doing more testing because it's being demanded of them. They were self-monitoring at some point. The regulation around it was pathetic, but it's
the
getting better.
Environment Agency who've insisted that the water companies test. I think there's some now 14,000 testing sites that are monitoring these outflows. And Wessex Water have said, we understand and support the desire to make more use of rivers for recreation, including swimming. So we're working with the Council and Common Bathing Group to increase awareness of water quality. Lowland rivers will always have bacteria in them, while the safety of wild swimming at specific locations is for councils and others to determine. So, I mean, even if the whole thing was a closed loop, the whole sewage thing was a closed loop, you've still got agriculture, you've still got the fact that there may be 2 dead cows in the river half a mile up, pouring out. It's never possible to have Timotei fresh water that you were able to sort of drink and bathe in. But it's the quality, isn't it? It's the consistent quality, I suppose.
And I think also it's the understanding of what are rivers for. Rivers are to sustain life, the ecosystem that we live in, to sustain the wildlife, and for people to live around, enjoy swimming, not to be polluted, not for profits to be made at the detriment of the river. So the part of the campaign here is people saying, people swim in this spot. There's a sign that the council put up to say no swimming, but people swim in this spot. They have for generations, and they're not going to stop swimming. And we do in the film ask people, are you concerned about the levels of pollution in the river,
Coli and all that,
and they are concerned, but they say, but if we stop swimming, then it's just going to become a sewage outlet.
I think I'm right in saying that there are only 3 places that qualify in England for river swimming that are deemed safe, but they too also have to be monitored and checked, which again, even if the sewage system was an entirely multi-billion pound invested closed loop system that never had to use outflow because of rainwater and wet winters, which is what Wessex Water and other water companies are saying, you'd still have to monitor it because of everything else that would be in the water.
Well, exactly.
Because that's nature.
Exactly. I think there's so much focus on whether it's a swimming spot, designated bathing spot. And I think we're losing focus on just nature and the environment in general, because it's not just about human health. It's also about environmental, wildlife, bird life. There's other creatures who thrive in this water and suffer from the pollution.
Balance. This is about balance. The River Wye is an example of this, of course, because there's been a lot of intensive farming of chickens. And the outflow of the chicken poo has into the river, and the nitrogen that's in that is causing algae bloom. So the River Wye is turning green in certain spots.
Exactly. And I think a big problem that it's more about the overarching problem is that we actually just don't know how healthy our rivers are. And the Common Bathing Group, who work a lot with surface against sewage, who do great work around this, the Rivers Trust, they're just pushing for more testing, more investment. Our river was tested officially by the Environment Agency years ago, and the Environment Agency only tests certain patches of river every few years. How can you get an understanding?
But do we know what it was like? Because we know that you mentioned surface against sewage. They've changed things. Cotton buds, for example, is down to them. From moving away from plastic cotton buds to paper cotton buds, so that you didn't these little plastic sticks washing up on the banks of the Avon, for example. But we talk about the state of the river today. Do we know that there was some golden age 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago where the river didn't have the sort of stuff that we're talking about?
I think what's worth highlighting is the way that the population's growing, there's lots more people living around the river. Like where we are used to not be that densely populated once upon a time, so there wasn't that much effect on the river, on the environment, and population just does that. And then there's always like increase in production of plastic materials and all this use of nappies and
man doing what man does.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like this film is also about trying to get people to swim more, because the more we use it, the more we'll care for it, because if we don't use it, then it just becomes
completely,
exactly and that's why things like this are going to make an impact if more people campaign for, because we're the ones who are going to make a change. We're the ones who are going to be the advocate for the wildlife. They can't say anything. The animals can't talk for themselves.
No. Can I just say, accepting this huge issue, and there are many sides to this and many layers to it, the film is beautifully shot.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, it really, both Charlotte and myself have commented on the fact it's gorgeous. Just as a piece of film, to see that countryside and to know where it is, I know where it is, and to know that you are literally yards away from the grime of a city, and it's like being in the middle of some sort of idyllic Turner-esque piece of English countryside. It's stunning, and you've captured it beautifully.
Thank you. Yeah, that was Charlotte's vision, I have to say. And I think one of the things that the film does really well, outside of talking about the water and the swimming, it just shows the place as a beautiful ecosystem. You get the panoramic views. I like how we use the drone shots to just highlight how it's juxtaposed against the city and the hustle and bustle and all the skyscrapers
But we're talking about this morning. Isn't that that's a really important thing? You mentioned you've got a young family, daughter. I think I picked up you have a daughter. Yeah. That to be able to take your daughter to somewhere like that in a city. Yeah. So she can smell and feel and grab and walk on something that isn't a combination of concrete and chewing gum. It is an extraordinary thing to be able to do, and a resource that we should all protect.
100%. And where we lived was a beautiful place, but we didn't have that many green spots at our disposal, at our doorstep. And now it's like you walk 1 minute this way and you've got the panoramic views of the river, and then you walk 1 minute the other way and you're like on top of Trooper's Hill. You can see all of Bristol. It's got like a nice vantage viewpoint, and then you walk another way, you've got Magpie Bottom. There's all sorts of large green spaces that are so beautiful, and you just get completely immersed in and transported when you just step outside. And we love that, and were like, this is where we want to raise our child.
Well, you've got this beautiful film that you've created. It's gorgeous.
But there's a sign that says don't swim.
But I mean, and that is for water safety. There is also other safety concerns as well, not least of which what may look benign and wonderful can have all sorts of currents, eddies, and goodness knows what else going on in it as well. So one has to, there is the balance of, we were talking about this morning, letting our children go out and play, as we did as children, is that they have to understand what the risk is, and you can't just jump into a body of the water and think it to be calm and tranquil. You don't know what lies beneath. Everything from shopping trolleys to rather nasty currents.
And I think the focus of the film, we say we had a big premiere event at Pitch in Skyline Park in Brislington, and we introduced the film and said this film is about love, because that is what ties all the different moments, all the people that we feature together, is just their love of the river and how much they inhabit it and use it and how important it is to them. And we have people who, one woman has fibromyalgia, so she does cold water swimming to help with her pain, people with arthritis, people who just go just to menopause, arthritis, even with COVID, there's so many things which people would tell us and be like, really? That helps you?
I know cold water swimming helps a lot of women who are going through who are perimenopausal, because it does just sort of shock the body and calm it down a little bit.
Depression and anxiety, those are big ones. And there's a lot of people I've met, and the community is so lovely. There's lots of people I've met who say if they don't swim in there, they'll go crazy. They need it. They just need it to thrive.
And this was a great partnership that we had, because my filmmaking background has been kind of campaigns. I've worked with a lot of NGOs internationally, and so I was kind of following the campaigners. There's so much activity, so much campaign activity for the river. People care about it so much. And Aggie came on board as creative producing and co-producing, and she's like, but what about the people who just need the river? And so we started looking more for people like like that. And so I think so much of the beauty of the film is a single, a 3-minute scene where we just spend time with one person and they're just going for a swim and they're talking about how much they love the river. And that's actually the one scene that people say is the most powerful.
Was that the man who's been sims in it 5 or 6 times a day?
Yeah. He's amazing.
Because he is probably not tuned into Fergal's Sharkey.
No.
He is tuned into the river.
You're so right.
He's just tuned into the river and what the river means to him. So all that other stuff is noise, I would imagine, to that man.
You are so correct.
The river is his story. That's well done you, because that's a great spot. Where can people see this story about Conham? Because if they don't know where Conham is, and we've tried to explain it, and it's almost like you feel like you're betraying a secret here a little bit, but don't go. But where can people see this film? Where can they get a viewing?
Well, we are very proud to announce that we've just locked down another screening on the 25th of April.
Oh, well done.
At the Bristol Aquarium State of the Art IMAX Theatres.
Oh, wow.
And that's going to be at 6 o'clock
on Thursday, the 25th. Yeah.
So
the Aquarium IMAX.
And the last event we sold out, and to the point where we had to release stunning tickets because the demand was so high. So if you want tickets, please get on them now.
So that's at the Aquarium IMAX on the 26th of April.
25th of April.
25th of April.
Yes,
Where do you get through the aquarium or through?
If you just search Rave On for the Avon, it should come up with all the details. Our website link is just there, so you should be able to.
Rave On for the Avon.
Yeah.
Love that. Rave On for the Avon.
Yeah.
That's the website address. Thank you so much for coming in. I really love what I saw of the film. It's beautifully shot. It is a story of our time. It chimes into what we were talking about this morning, that our children need to have that, National Trust saying our children need to have that connection with nature. They also need to use nature to understand what risk is, because risk is so important in life. It's, without knowing what risk is, you're going to struggle with all the judgments that you have to make as life goes on. I wish you every success with this film. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
And Charlotte and Aggie, good luck with the screening on the 25th at the IMAX at the Aquarium. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.